All right, superlatives time for Week 10. You're up first, and I have a feeling it has something to do with the clip we just saw.
It does. I mean, you sure? I'm gonna call it the "You sure you want to draft another quarterback award or superlative?" That's what I'm gonna go with there. Kyler Murray. I mean, hasn't played in a little less than a year. I mean, to look the way he did, it was. I'm not gonna say as shocking as Josh Jacobs and what he's doing in Minnesota, but still shocking. I mean, the way he threw the football, I was impressed with that. Great control. He made a lot of good decisions other than his one interception, and I'm not sure his tight end didn't kind of screw him over in that. His speed, it's still special, right? I mean, again, he has some attributes about him that you go, all right, you could draft a quarterback from college. He might be better, but I don't know. Is he going to have more talent and special skills than this guy? Big throw there late in the game to Trey McBride, who's becoming his go-to target. But Kyler Murray, to not play for that long, be in a new offense, execute that way, had some drops in the game that certainly went against him too. We know his scrambling and running is going to open up the rest of the offense. Him with Rondale Moore and Trey McBride and Michael Wilson and Hollywood Brown. It seems like they have people around him that would make sense for his offense, right? So impressive win by him, but way to go for Kyler Murray to come back and win the game in that fashion.
This is a complicated, delicate balance for the Cardinals to take in a bunch of different factors. Is he our guy for the future? If not, what do we do with him? If he gets injured at some point, like he did last year, they're on the hook for millions in injury guarantees that have yet to vest but will next year while he's injured. So they've just got some stuff they got to figure out. And just go figure it out. Just embrace it. This is it. They've already given the guy the big contract. Let's just go forward and see what we have with Kyler Murray. And what they got yesterday was a victory.
Yeah.
All right. First one for me, and this reminds me of an old joke. I don't think it's inappropriate. Jesus is golfing. You know this joke? Jesus is golfing, and he hits one into the water, and he walks out on water to reach down and get it out of the water. And somebody says, hey, who's that guy think he is? Jesus says, no, he thinks he's Jack Nicklaus. Anyway, who do you think you are, Dan Marino?
That's good.
And I said this yesterday as the play was happening.
Right.
When Bailey Zappe does the fake spike, I said, who does he think he is, Dan Marino?
Yeah.
And he throws it, as Jason McCourty said, into a team meeting of Colts. It's like, nope, he's not Dan Marino. Think about this. The guy gets put into the game for the last drive. And like 7-8 years ago, we would think there was some master Bill Belichick plan that they had practiced this over and over again for this moment, and they're going to do a fake spike with the backup quarterback who knows how to run it to perfection. No, I felt like they didn't know what the hell they were doing. I felt like the whole thing was a crap show. It was embarrassing. And I don't know who in the viewing room said, hey, is he trying to get himself fired like George Costanza? And, you hear kind of that kind of like joking, but is it like he really just kind of sticking it to Bob Kraft at this point? Like, what's going on with Bill Belichick? The whole thing was weird. The benching of Mac Jones was weird that late in the game. And then that decision to do a fake spike with a guy who presumably has not been practicing fake spikes or much at all in the 2-minute drill out there doing it. The whole thing was weird to me.
It's been a lot of curious decisions the last few years. I don't know if it's, ego, total just loss of feel for the NFL, whether it comes to the offensive coordinator things last year, right? Some of the decisions that have been made on personnel, lack of wide receivers or speed on their football team, the way they've handled the backup quarterback situation all year. None of it makes sense. None of it seems like Patriots. The Patriots, I never would have thought that that's something Bill Belichick would do there yesterday. He, first off, never makes it about one guy, really, right? It's always like, stay the course, on to Cincinnati, right? I mean, to think, okay, first off, you're going to put Bailey Zappe in that situation, who's not overly talented to begin with. He hasn't been in any situation like that all year long, right? He's also a guy that to your team, they're going, what do we even think of Bailey Zappe? We've cut him twice during the year. He wasn't on the active roster 1 week, right? I mean, he's barely looks like he's been capable of being the backup, for just lack of better options. They've stayed with him there. It was crazy. I know that Mac Jones interception was horrible down the stretch. But to think Bailey Zappe was going to come in and lead you down on a touchdown drive late in a football game in Germany when, to Devin McCourty's point, probably hasn't run the 2-minute drill all year long, That I just can't even believe Bill Belichick would do that. That was shocking to me.
The interception was horrible. The drive before that, where he had a guy at the goal line, guy at the back of the end zone, and it almost got picked off again.
Right.
That was horrible. Everything about it, everything about what the Patriots are doing now is just confounding, confusing. All the way back to, in the second quarter of the game, doing an all-out punt block with no one back to field the punt and gave up 19 yards of field position.
It was a field position game, like we were talking about just a minute ago, and having a feel for when to go for it, not to go for it. That made no sense to me at all.
I don't know what's up with Bill Belichick. I know Robert Kraft was on NFL Network yesterday before the game. I've never been 2-7 before. This isn't what we expected. He made it clear back in March they want to go to the playoffs this year. Playoffs obviously aren't happening at 2-8. I don't know how many. They're not going to get to 7 wins. He wants 7th Super Bowl. They're not going to get to 7 wins this year.
No.
I really do believe, we got to take a break, but I believe that they're getting the word out now of where this is going. They're not going to fire him. They expect one of these desperate teams, one of these dysfunctional teams that's smitten with the idea of Bill Belichick, whether it's the Buccaneers, whether it's the Commanders, the Panthers, because who the hell knows what David Tepper's going to do at any given moment. But somebody's going to get, we can get Bill Belichick. Let's give him a second-round pick for Bill Belichick. Let's give him something. And then they avoid owing him a penny. They get something for him, and they move on with someone else. Not an easy thing to set up, and I have a feeling it will be set up before we get to the end of the season, and it just kind of unfolds once you activate it after the season because you have to do a full search. You got to comply with the Rooney Rule. The Patriots have to have a plan to pivot to once they get a phone call. I just think that's where it's all heading. He's going to be coaching someone else next year, and the Patriots going to get something in exchange for him. That's what they're trying to set up. And I think without that, he'd be fired today. Without that, I think he'd be gone today.
I would hope they wouldn't. I would hope that he's done enough to not be fired, right? I'll be interested to see if that happens, what you're saying. I could certainly see some people take the bait or want to do that or make that move. I also would say to that, I would go, why? Why? What he's running an organization here in the last few years. There's been so many there's been so many skeptical moves that we've talked about, and even more than we've talked about in this segment. And then I think you add on to that and go, wait, how much longer is he going to go anyways? I think most people that know him think it's only going to be a year or two more anyway. So do you really want to go all in, trade assets to get Bill Belichick, and then he retires after next season? I don't think that's the right move either.
He wants to catch Don Shula.
Yeah,
that's widely believed.
Yeah,
but you're right. Are you getting a 10-year commitment? But again, look at the Buccaneers. They just want to fill their stadium. Their stadium is empty yesterday.
Yeah.
They just want people in the stadium.
Yeah.
And they've chased big names in the past.
Yes, they have.
And if it doesn't work out, we'll go chase another big name in the future. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.